Hello, dear listeners. A warm, heartfelt welcome to all of you tuning back into the Emotional Soulmate podcast, your cozy, familiar space for love and connection. Let's dive right in, shall we? This week, I'm bursting with joy, and I want to share that vibrant energy with you. Picture this: I just got back from a workout, my endorphins are dancing, and my brain's buzzing with those happy chemicals. Scientifically, I get why I'm in such a great mood. Exercise does that to you. But let's be real, it's not just about the science. My heart's singing for no particular reason. I didn't hit some big milestone today. I've been working out for years, so finishing a session isn't exactly a life-changing achievement. No major wins at work, no projects wrapped up, no grand successes to report. Everything's kind of a beautiful mess right now, if I'm honest. Yet, here I am, happy, purely because I am. This state of being, this unexplainable joy, feels like a rare gem. To feel content, even euphoric, without a specific reason? That's the kind of vibe I want to send your way. Sometimes, when I listen back to old episodes, I hear myself laughing out of nowhere, and even I'm like, why was I that happy? It's not always tied to what I'm saying, it's just my mood shining through. I've thought about asking my editing team to trim those random giggles, but I've held back. Those laughs aren't about the content, they're about me in that moment. They capture my joy, my reflection, my quiet pauses, or even the sound of birds chirping in the background. Those little details are my memories, my snapshots of life. Years later, when I hear them, they bring me back. They remind me I was happy then, and that happiness spills into my present, making today even brighter. So, bear with me if my laughter seems a bit much sometimes, it's just me being me. Joy doesn't need an explanation, and I hope you're feeling a bit of that today too. Now, let's get to the main topic. If you've been with me for a while, you know my pattern. I start with joy, and somehow, we end up talking about sadness. I swear it's not intentional. Even when I hit record, I'm thinking about diving into something deep and heavy, but my happiness sneaks in first. That's just how it goes, humans are funny like that. Still, by the end, I want this episode to leave you with something meaningful, a soul-to-soul connection between us kindred spirits. Today, we're talking about the masks of suffering. Sounds intense, right? This idea came to me during a trip to a far-off place, maybe for work, maybe for fun, doesn't matter. The point is, I was somewhere new where, aside from my travel companions, no one knew me. They didn't know my job, my story, my joys, or my struggles. They didn't care about my status or achievements. All they saw was the surface-level me, and you know what? It was freeing. In those moments, I let go of everything I usually hold dear, my routines, my work, my identity. No one cared, and that felt amazing. It got me thinking, we often cling to things we think define us, our careers, our roles, our reputations. We wear them like masks, and we're proud of them. But sometimes, the most joyful moments come when we set those masks down. When we put them on, we feel powerful, admired, seen. But too often, those same masks bring pain. They weigh us down. Take a friend of mine, for example, a successful manager, respected by many. I've met plenty of people like him, and some genuinely love their roles. But others? They're suffering. My friend once told me, I'm exhausted. I can't keep up. My personal life's gone. Work's taken over. I asked, why not take a break? You're the boss, you can step back. His response? I can't. If I let go, things will fall apart. My role's too important. No one else can do it. Sound familiar? That's the mask talking. It's the thing he's proud of, the thing that defines him, but it's also the thing that's breaking him. He can't take it off because, without it, he feels like he's nothing. I pushed him further. Who are you if you're not this manager? If you lose the title, the respect, the responsibility. Who are you? At first, he dodged the question, giving me vague answers. But I pressed again, and late one night, when the moment was quiet enough for truth, he admitted, I don't know. This job is everything I've fought for, sacrificed for. Without it, I'm nobody. That, my friends, is the mask of suffering. It's painful to wear, but he feels he can't take it off. Let me be clear, I'm not saying you should abandon your dreams or quit your job. I'm all about ambition and hard work. But we need to recognize that the masks we wear, the ones we think make us, can hurt us. And when we take them off, we're not losing ourselves, we're finding ourselves. The danger is believing that without the mask, we're worthless. That's the trap. Back to my trip, in that faraway place, I wasn't wearing any masks. I wore cheap clothes, flip-flops, messy hair. I ate street food, picked my teeth without a care, and just existed. It was pure bliss. And no, this isn't about money or fancy vacations. You don't need to travel far to feel this. Drive to the outskirts of your city, find a quiet spot, and just be. It's about giving yourself permission to step out of your roles, even for a moment. I told my friend, I'm not saying quit your job or stop being a leader. But give yourself an hour a day to take off the mask. After work, stop being the manager. Don't check emails, don't text your team. Step out of the office and tell yourself, I'm not that role anymore. I'm just me. Go for a run, plant a garden, watch a show, play a game, do something that's you, not your job. It's not about abandoning responsibility, it's about balance. Those masks are heavy, and we need time to breathe. Some people wear multiple masks. Parents, for instance, often wear the hero mask, always needing to be perfect for their kids. That's exhausting. No one can be a hero 24/7. Kids sense it when you're struggling, and it creates tension. I love this line from a song by Sasha Sloan. I grew up and realized my parents aren't heroes. They're just like me, flawed, struggling, human. Why wait for kids to grow up to learn that? Take off the hero mask sometimes. Tell your kids, I don't know the answer, but let's figure it out together. It's humbling, it's real, and it builds a deeper bond. Or think about social media, where people wear masks of success, wealth, or perfection. It's a constant performance, and it's draining. You're not just fooling others, you're trapping yourself. Why define yourself by one narrow image? There are so many ways to be loved and valued. You don't need to be rich or glamorous. Be kind, be curious, be hardworking, those matter just as much, and they don't require a mask. Here's the deeper point, before you chase a goal or a lifestyle, ask yourself, how many masks will this require? Some paths demand one mask, others demand 5. But there are paths, meaningful, fulfilling ones, that don't require any. Choose those when you can. No one escapes the stress of wearing masks, so be intentional about which ones you pick. Let's dig a bit deeper into why these masks form in the first place. Often, it's about how we measure our worth. Society tells us we need titles, achievements, or status to be somebody. From a young age, we're taught to aim for the corner office, the big house, the perfect family. And don't get me wrong, those things can be wonderful. But when they become the only way we define ourselves, they turn into masks. We start believing that without them, we're invisible. That's when the suffering creeps in. Think about the pressure to have it all together. Maybe you're a student who feels you need straight A's to be worthy. Or a professional who thinks one mistake will ruin your reputation. Or a parent who believes admitting you're overwhelmed makes you a failure. These are all masks, and they're born from the fear that our true selves, flawed, messy, human, aren't enough. But here's the truth, your worth isn't tied to what you do or how others see you. It's in who you are when all the masks are off. Let's explore another example. I once met a woman who was a high-powered lawyer. She was brilliant, admired, and seemed to have it all. But in a quiet moment, she confessed she felt trapped. Her mask was her polished, confident persona, the one that won cases and impressed clients. But it was exhausting to maintain. She felt she couldn't show vulnerability, couldn't admit when she was tired or unsure. I asked her, what would happen if you let people see the real you, even just a little? She laughed nervously and said, they'd think I'm weak. I'd lose their respect. That's the mask of suffering at work, convincing her that authenticity would cost her everything. I suggested she try small steps. Maybe share a light-hearted story about a mistake she made, or admit to a colleague she's feeling stretched thin. Not to everyone, not all at once, just a crack in the mask. Over time, she found that people didn't judge her, they connected with her. Her vulnerability made her more relatable, not less competent. Slowly, she started to feel lighter, like she could breathe again. This isn't just about individuals, it's cultural too. In many workplaces, there's an unspoken rule to always be on. You're expected to answer emails at midnight, to never say no to a project, to always look polished. That's a collective mask, one we all wear to fit in. But it's unsustainable. Companies that foster authenticity, where people can admit they're struggling or take time for themselves, tend to have happier, more productive teams. If you're in a leadership role, think about the masks you're encouraging your team to wear. Are you creating space for them to be human? Let's talk about relationships too. Romantic partners often wear masks to seem like the perfect match. Early in a relationship, you might hide your quirks or insecurities to impress someone. That's normal to an extent, but when it becomes a long-term act, it's draining. I knew a couple where one partner felt they had to always be cheerful and supportive, even when they were falling apart inside. They thought showing their true feelings would push their partner away. But when they finally opened up, it didn't break the relationship, it deepened it. Authenticity builds trust, while masks build walls. Even friendships can involve masks. Ever feel like you have to be the fun one or the reliable one to keep your friends? That's a mask too. True friends will love you when you're quiet, when you're messy, when you're just you. The fear that they won't is what keeps the mask on. So, how do we start taking these masks off? It's not easy, especially when they feel like part of who we are. Here are a few practical steps. 1. Identify your masks, reflect on the roles you play. Are you the perfect employee, the always happy friend, the infallible parent? Write them down. Naming your masks is the first step to recognizing their weight. 2. Start small. You don't have to ditch every mask at once. Try one moment of authenticity each day. Admit to a coworker you're feeling overwhelmed. Tell your kids you're learning alongside them. Share a small vulnerability with a friend. These moments add up. 3. Create mask-free spaces. Find time and places where you can be yourself. Maybe it's a solo walk in the park, a hobby you love, or a quiet coffee shop where no one knows you. These are your sanctuaries. 4. Challenge your fears. Ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen if I take this mask off? Often, the fear of judgment is worse than the reality. Most people appreciate authenticity more than perfection. 5. Surround yourself with real people. Seek out friends, mentors, or communities who value you for you, not your masks. They'll remind you that you're enough without them. This journey isn't about rejecting ambition or responsibility. It's about finding balance between who you are and the roles you play. Masks can be useful, they help us navigate the world. But when they start to define us, they become cages. The goal is to wear them lightly, to put them on when needed and take them off when you can. Let's circle back to joy for a moment. That feeling I described at the start, the unexplainable happiness. It's most accessible when the masks are off. When you're not performing, not proving, just being, joy has room to sneak in. It's in the quiet moments, the messy moments, the real moments. That's where life happens. I want to leave you with a challenge. This week, find one moment to take off a mask. Maybe it's admitting to a friend you're not okay. Maybe it's letting your kids see you're still figuring things out. Maybe it's just sitting alone, without your phone, and letting yourself be. Notice how it feels. You might be surprised at the lightness, the freedom, the joy that creeps in. Thank you so much for listening. This episode is a piece of my heart, and I hope it resonates with yours. If you enjoyed it, please give us a like, a subscribe, or share it with a friend. It means the world to keep this community growing. Until next time, take care, be kind to yourself, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.